We're going to talk a lot about blame and this and that. How much of this do you think falls on Chris's shoulders?
You know, a lot falls on his shoulders just because he's Chris Paul, because of how important he is to that team and as a leader. But when I'm watching this series, it was clear what Dallas did. They just threw length and size on Chris Paul, and the Suns never adjusted. And when he's trying to get the ball to DeAndre Ayton, when he's trying to spread the ball around, he just can't get to where he needs to get to. And some of that, I think, is on Monty Williams. Like, I understand, like, this is the coaching situation, too. Yeah. But when Reggie Bullock, plus 44. Dorian Finney-Smith, plus 37. Those are the I mean, they didn't do much offensively, 5 points each, but the defense they played on Devin Booker and Chris Paul in the second half of this series was tremendous, and Phoenix never had an answer. And we're going to talk about DeAndre Ayton a little bit later, but it was clear they were just daring the Suns to start going inside to DeAndre Ayton, and they never could get him the ball.
Chris Paul is obviously going to take a lot of the blame. As Ramona said, and as Chris knows, he didn't play well from games 3 to 7. He played terrible, and he'll tell you that. But what I want to touch on real quick, RJ, is the disrespect I saw from Pat Beverly earlier today. You know, as reporters, you know, as part of the media, we have a job to be critical, but I think there's a thin line between being critical and disrespecting. And I feel like what Pat Beverly did today to Chris Paul was completely disrespectful and out of the line. And Pat Beverly's talking like he's that guy. You're not that guy. Plain and simple. Chris Paul played terrible this year, and his numbers are still better than your career numbers have ever been. So I just think you have to understand, Chris is a 12-time All-Star. He played terrible. First time, all defense 9 times, 7 times first team all defense. He'll be a Hall of Famer. Pat Bev and I were similar type role players. They don't talk about us when we go. They're going to talk about CP3 when he's done. And I just think the disrespect we saw earlier today on the ESPN shows need to be checked because he was way out of pocket.
Yeah, no, you know that there's energy between those two. Like we've seen the push in the back. Yep. We know about all that. And yeah, sometimes when you're in this position, it can be difficult to separate professionalism versus competitiveness. I mean,
all he needed was the red clown nose because he was out there talking like a clown today. And I just think, to me, again, the CP is a legend in this game. You know, again, we were role players in this game, so have some respect for guys. He did play terrible. He'd be the first one to tell you, but the shots that Bev took today were just out of pocket. I know no one else is going to tell him that, so I'm going to tell him that.
Okay, well, talk that talk then. Now, I know Perk is chomping at the bit to get into this discussion, and there's no pun intended. I'm not messing with you. So let's bring him and Malika back into this. Big Perk, I want to know, what's the biggest amount that you are putting on and who for the Phoenix Suns?
Oh, Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd kicked their ass. That's who I'm putting the blame on. When you talk about the game plan, when you talk about having this team ready, you talk about being down 0-2 when we thought the series was over. He made the necessary adjustments, and he fired his team up. Jason Kidd is the reason why they won that series, along with Luka Doncic being great. But when you're able to get sing that different song from a former player aspect and get your team to buy into being stars in their roles and believe it. We heard him in his post-game interview. He talked about believing. So it was basically Jason Kidd not only kicking the Suns' ass, but kicking Monty Williams' ass.
Oh, well, Perk, that was beautiful. It was eloquent. For me, the question really was about who do you think deserves a ton of blame and how much blame Chris Paul should get. But we can talk about Jason Kidd more. Look, I love it.
No. Here's the thing. Like, after Matt just spoke what he said and spoke the gospel, I wanted to go the other route, Richard. And again, I understand you in the L.A. studio, but this is the host, okay?
Oh, yeah. Malika, okay, let me ask Malika. Malika, who do you think deserves the most blame when you're talking about the Phoenix Suns then?
Do I get to follow in Perk's footsteps and say Luka Doncic?
Oh, yes, you can.
Because what Luka was able to do, the clinic that he was able to put on was just absolutely incredible. And we all know, you can go up and down the Suns roster and literally say every single player on that roster did not play anywhere close to where they needed to. It is equal and all blame when you go over there. But when you look at the other side, what the Mavs were able to do, because they came out hot, and then the Suns, they hit a couple of shots. They got, they closed the gap to like 5, and then once again the Mavs took off. And so for me, this isn't about the Phoenix Suns. This was a bad game that they should throw away, toss out. Matt hit on it. They all know that they played poorly. This was a Luka Doncic clinic, and he's going to need every single bit of that in order to beat the Golden State Warriors next, Richard.
Well, thank you guys for both not answering my questions.
We're just giving you
all the time.
Medicine, baby. Don't even worry about it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.